Hello everyone, John Cope again from Cope Racing and Transmissions, and I'm here at Lake Michigan at Calumet Park on the east side, Chicago, Illinois. And this video is going to be about transmissions, Cope Racing Transmissions, and where it all started. So stick around. This is going to be a history lesson of our family tree of transmissions. I'm going to show you a few buildings and tell you a few stories. I hope you enjoy it. So the shop is only a few miles away from here, and it'll be fun, so stick around. Just over the 106th Street Bridge, crossing the Calumet River. You can see the skyway over there in the background. Just on the other side of this bridge is Buffalo Avenue, and the location of my dad's very first shop. Which is right there. That's it. It looks exactly the same. My dad moved here about 1971. You can see the Chicago Skyway from here. This street is actually Buffalo that we're on. That busy street there is 106th. I remember coming here when I was a kid on the weekends, probably because my mom worked. I don't know why. Mostly it was just me and my brother. And we used to run this neighborhood. What was I? First grade? I had to have been, what, 7 or so? In 1971? No, I was 6. 6 years old running this neighborhood. And the building right next to it was a bar, and it has an apartment up on top. And back then, if you were from Chicago, or the Chicago bars all had apartments upstairs, and the owners would live upstairs and they come downstairs, and that was their business. A lot of the restaurants were that way too. Well, that garage is part of this property, which at that time was called Pete's Club. It was an old tavern. And I remember going in there as a kid. It had a pool table, 2 phone booths, and had this really cool Clydesdale Budweiser. I'll never forget that. It had that Budweiser Clydesdale lamp, bar lamp, hanging from the ceiling. We used to be out here running around, and there's a yard in the back where there's bocce ball courts back there. This place has been closed for a long, long time. It's all boarded up and whatnot, but when we were out here in the streets, you know, Dad always said, stay away from the trains. I mean, the tracks are right there. And we did, and there would be trains that would go past there all the time. It was a very busy area in the 70s. And I remember it was molten or coal or something, because the tanks were all red. You can see the metal or whatnot that was in there glowing. But when we were out here in the summertime, when that 106th Street bridge, when there's a ship coming through, there's bells that start dinging, and we would run to the drawbridge. It was the coolest thing ever. I could not tell you how many times I've seen that bridge go up and down all the time. Matter of fact, I've seen it going up and down all the time. So many times I was on it one time when the bell started going off, and I ran, and luckily I got off before the bridge started going up. But after that, I was having nightmares about it, getting caught on the bridge. So I never went on that bridge again after that one time. I would still run to it. And the ships were huge. They were monstrously huge. But yeah, we hung out on that bridge. I guess this why Gen Xers are so tough. They didn't die, and they're, you know, I got up close to it too. I always wanted to touch it while it was all the way up in the air. I don't remember this happening, but I remember the story. My parents told me that when my dad came in here one time, and me and my brother were in the car, and he went in the shop to go get something, I don't know, money, keys, who knows, I don't remember what. I don't remember this happening, but I remember the story. My dad left the car running, my brother puts the thing in gear, and it plows through that garage door. So we went through the garage door. I also remember another story. I don't remember the event, but I remember the story. In that garage, in Dad's first shop, my brother spray painting the back of customers' cars. And how they didn't know that in that small store, I don't know. But Dad never had a sign here. It was word of mouth. This is a steel mill area. This is actually the east side. And as soon as you cross the river, it's South Daring. You go a little bit north, it's Hegewisch. But those are nicknames. Chicago does it a lot different than I think any other neighborhood. This is Chicago, Illinois. But there's so many parts of Chicago, and I'll bring up a map to show you. Every neighborhood has a name. South Chicago, the Loop, South Daring. Now, just on the other side of the river is where my father actually grew up. This is the east side. You go a little bit further, the most furthest spot is called Hegewisch. Now, you know, a lot of businesses will use those names, like Hegewisch Pizza or Hegewisch Records or whatever, but it's Chicago. It's just the different names of each neighborhood. And when people talk about being here or wherever, they never say Chicago. They say what neighborhood that was called. So my dad, when you ever asked him, you know, when other people, oh, well, where'd you grow up? He would say South Daring. Because when you say Chicago is so huge, it's huge. you know, so you don't say Chicago. You should say, my dad grew up in South Daring. And he actually grew up in the projects. The projects were government housing that poor people would stay in. And my dad was the baby of 6 children. And shortly after my father was born, like within a year when my father was born, his father left and never came back, and left Grandma Cope with 6 children. 2 of them were old enough to be working at the time. No, wait a minute. No, if my dad was a baby, they were all young kids. I think there was probably about, if my dad was a baby, then the oldest one had to have been 15, I think. And it was hard for Grandma Cope, you know. And this is in what, my dad was born in 40. I don't remember what year he was born. I'm sorry. But anyways, it was really hard. My father was dirt fucking poor. Dirt poor. And so for him to come here and start his own business, that was a really major accomplishment for him. And the shop didn't have any heat. And I remember they nicknamed him the Iceman. Didn't have no running water. There was no bathroom in there. I remember when I was a kid, I had to sneak into the bar, which was no big deal. You could be a kid and walk right in the bar. Heck, they had kids walking in there shining shoes. We would go there to use the potty or whatever. Or we'd have to go down to Kentucky Fried Chicken and use the bathroom. But there was no running water in the shop. So after he moved out here and moved to Calumet City, it was a big improvement for Dad. We'll get to that. I'll show you that shop when he moved to Calumet City. But this was a great area. This is the shop. This is where it all started. I can remember coming here like it was yesterday with my dad. I was just like I said, 5 or 6 years old. But this is where it all started. At this little 2-bay garage. Dad just had a toolbox and some knowledge on building transmissions, and yep, about 1971. Absolutely no trip is ever complete to Calumet City without stopping at Panel's Big Boys. They do have hot dogs and burgers, and they're known for their subs, but their tacos are out of this world. And I got hooked on these tacos when I was a kid. Luckily, it's one of the restaurants that are still here. Same location, Burnham Avenue, Calumet City, Illinois. My high school is just 2 blocks west. My dad's Calumet City shop is just behind us. And could you see that garage door? That was my dad's first Calumet City shop. I'm actually parked on the property to do this taco review. I'm actually parked on the property that my father used to own. When he was running that shop over there, the Calumet City shop here, which is not the old Texaco station, he moved there later on. He bought these lots, and he was going to do something with them. What? I don't know. He ended up not doing nothing with them. I don't even think he sold them. But at any rate, I'm here in Cal City. It's lunchtime, and we are going to now reveal these tacos. I don't know. It's going to be hard to see this. But there it is. And these are American tacos. They're not authentic Mexican tacos. They're more of an American style. So One bite, everybody knows the rules. Tacos from Pano's Big Boys in Calumet City, Illinois. That's the only reason why to come back here. They also have what I call Chicago restaurant style fries. They sell these in the grocery stores. I'll show them to you in a little bit. These tacos, they're a little drippy. They're just a little bit wet, which is great. Taco, I don't put no hot sauce or nothing on there. Cheese, lettuce, tomato, that's it. You're going to see that the taco shell has a little bit of a char on it. Not a char, but they take the taco shells, they put them on the skillet, then they put the cheese on, then they put the meat on, and they cook it on there. Oh, is that good? So I'm gonna give you a score on the tacos. To me, they're the best ones in the world. I get them every single time I come back to Calumet City. I'm gonna go 9-2 on the tacos. These are the fries. They're like Chicago style restaurant-ish kind of fast food fries, you know. I gotta go easy on those. They're really bad for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish eating my lunch, and then I'm gonna turn the truck around. I'm gonna talk about Dad's Calumet City shop, which is just behind us. All right, we're on the corner of Burnham Avenue and Pulaski in Calumet City, Illinois. And after my dad moved out of the East Side shop, this is the location he came to, which is 700 Burnham Avenue. This used to have 2 garage doors in the front a long time ago, and then there's one in the back of the alley. I'll show it to you. And when the old man came here, it looked pretty much exactly like this. The way you see it is exactly how it looked. He got to be really good friends with the Blairs that owned Blair Sicko right there. Johnny Blair, just like this year, got out of there and moved out. The taxes were crazy. Like, I'm not sure what the number was, but it's unbelievably crazy. So Dad moved here. I didn't work at this one. I was still too young. I think Dad came here in 78 or 79. And he didn't stay here long because they built a brand new facility by this same landlord just on the other side. I'll show that to you in a minute. This liquor store across the street at the time was called Parkmore Liquors. And then it had a bar in the back. So it was a bar and a liquor store all wrapped up in one. I can remember as a kid getting a nickel from my dad, walking across the street, going there. They would sell pretzel rods individually in a little glass container. And I'd go there. They would even have little bags, like little grocery bags that fit 2 or 3 pretzel rods in there. And I can remember going there all the time and getting pretzel rods. They did. That's where the garage door used to be. Right there. You can see there was a garage door. It wasn't a very big shop. But this is the back through the alley. But this is where Dad's very first shop was, in Calumet City at 700 Burnham Avenue. Now, if you just go down the alley here, this building right here that you see, I remember when it was being built brand new. And this is where Dad, he was offered, let me turn this truck around and I'll tell the story. This building it had to have been 79 to 80, was the building, it was brand new, and it's just on the other side of where Dad's first shop was. When they built this building, they made an offer to my dad. There's actually a wall between that side, that part of the building, and those two part of the buildings. That part of the building, which is now gone, but it was two separate units in the inside. And the old man, you know, it had two brand new hoists. It was all brand new. It had two in-ground twin post hoist, a nice bathroom, a heater, running water. It really was probably one of the nicest shops he got. This shop also was the very first place that I picked up a wrench. The high school is just about 2 blocks over, and I came here starting freshman year. After school, I would just walk over to the shop, and that's when I started working for my dad. And that was in 1980. So this is the shop where I first started in 1980. I'll never forget, I'll tell you a story. Standing inside the shop and looking out the windows, you see these big lights hanging from the building. Not that little one, but that big one. I can remember me and the old man looking through the windows and watching the snow come down, talking about how good the business was going to be because people would be breaking transmissions. It's a memory I'll never forget. The brand new bigger shop that Dad moved in, the one where I was a freshman and I started working for Dad. It was really when Dad was starting to do really good, and I was learning the trade from him at that time. R&R transmissions, tearing down, I didn't really tear down transmissions at that time, but I remember scraping a lot of cases for Dad. And he was very happy at that time because he's got a brand, you know, the shop was brand new. He didn't own it, he rented it. He got a new shop with 2 racks. It was the first time he's ever had 2 hoists. And you know, before that, he was pulling transmissions out on his back with no heat, no running water. I mean, that was some rough working conditions, but he did it. He did what he had to do. And I actually still have the jack stands that Dad used at his very first shop and my shop. I've kept them forever. Is one of the things that didn't get lost when we went through our hard times in the 80s. But to tell a story, and this will be the end of the video. To tell the story, Dad was doing great. Things were excellent. He had my mom working there. She was building transmissions. My grandpa Peyton was working there, cleaning up. I was working there after school, and one of my friends at the time, Jim, was working there after school. So we had a full crew. Back then, you got snow, like feet of snow every time. in the Midwest, and so the snow would do great for his business. And the landlord, who owned the building, of course, brought his mother's Dodge Aspen over for a transmission. Threw the keys to my dad, said, "Here, this thing needs a transmission. Go ahead and do the transmission." And Dad did it, got it done, brought the car over, dropped off the keys, and he told me, he says, I'll get you an invoice, which he did shortly. And time has gone by, and this gentleman did not pay the bill. So my dad approached him, you know, the next time the rent was due. And I remember this guy was a effing jerk off. I remember him being such a hard-nosed, no compromise guy, you know, which happens to people who either are born into money or got into money. I don't know. But I remember my dad and my mom talking about it at the kitchen table. This guy refused to pay the bill. He's like, "Nope, I ain't paying it. That's free. That's for my mom." And, you know, my dad had principles, so he was like, "No way." I go, that you have to pay that bill. So this is kind of funny. You know, my dad was, you know, liked to go to gin mills and stuff. He would drink, and one night he after this situation, he was lit, and he took the tow truck, which was Mr. Haney #1. He took the tow truck and he went over there to the landlord, who owned an auto parts business. And so he had 4 trucks that he had the name on the side, and he used those trucks for delivery to deliver the parts. And he went over there to boost the trucks, and he had one on the hook, and he was just about to pull away, and luckily one of the cops come over, pulled up to him, and he knew the Cal City cop, and he's like, "Jack, what are you doing? What's going on?" And, you know, my dad, I don't know what he said. He probably mumbled like, "Fucking Hank, fuck me. I'm stealing this fucking car. I'm stealing this truck." And the cop goes, "Jack, you can't do that." He convinced my dad to take the truck off the hook, drop it down, and just go home. And he did. So, so Dad went home, and then the next day we started moving out. And so, unfortunately, Dad had to close that shop, and then just when things were going great for him, you know, and that seemed to be the black cloud over Transmatic for all these years. You know, and when he was in the East Side, he had a roof come off and a tornado, and I still have the books that were in that shop, and they're waterlogged. And when I go through, they're Milton or Chilton books, and when I go through those books and I see the wrinkled papers that in the book, it reminds me that these were in that building when the tornado took the roof off and all the water got in there. So he was friends with Charlie Blair, who owned the gas station next door, right on the same corner, Burnham and Pulaski. And Charlie was nice enough to let my dad do a couple jobs out of his gas station until he found another place, which he did at 817 Burnham. And that's the shop he probably had the longest, and I worked for him at worked for Dad for the longest. And I'm not going to show you anything about that shop in this video. That's going to be a part 2, and I'm kind of saving that for when John Wilburn, a friend of mine, comes in, and we're going to take the Power Wagon that I built, and we're going to drive it to Calumet City for the first time it's going there. I'm going to drive to my dad's old shop, which is still there, and we're going to walk around and reminisce and talk about things, and there'll be a part 2 to that. But yeah, that's this is, I guess you would say, part 1 of the history of where, you know, my dad got started. And one of the reasons why I didn't use the Transmatic name is because I thought it had a dark cloud over it, you know. It just, Dad seemed to have bad luck. I've been blessed to have only a few potholes to say that I had to do with my business. And with any business, you're gonna roll along people that are either difficult to deal with, or they want to take advantage of you, or whatever. But for the most part, CRT has been, I've been blessed. What is this lady doing? I'm gonna pass you. I'm gonna pass you. Here I go. Dumbass. Did you see me all right? Where was I? Well, you get a flavor of how my dad got his very humble beginnings, as did I. You know, I think along the way, my dad, and you know, long term, he did really good. I was fortunate enough to be around him, to grow up around transmissions. I mean, it's been bred into me since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I can remember Dad coming home from the shop and hugging him, and he'd smell like transmissions, and you know, it was our life. It really is. It is today, and I think that's part of the reason why I've been blessed to do so good with CRT. Why? I don't know, because I'm a fucking dumbass. CRT has been a blessing. It's been doing really good. We've shipped parts and transmissions all over the world. My dad was very proud of me. I'll never forget. I don't even remember the spot. Me and my dad were at Mopar Nationals, and I was racing my Coronet. It was probably one of the last times I was racing the Coronet. And I was a sponsor of the Mopar Nationals in one of the events, and they're saying my name, and he sees a few cars with my stickers, and I've already had the catalogs out and everything. He told me how proud he was of me. So that really meant a lot coming from the old man. Seeing you see his very humble beginnings, and he's seen what I did with what he started with, even though I didn't actually take over that business, but the business in general, as far as being in the transmission business, started with the old man. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I know this is not one of my normal kind of videos. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate everybody that goes to the shop. I really appreciate when you tell other people about the store, about our shop, and post links about CRT and like our videos and all that other stuff. It really means a lot to me. So I am about 1 mile before I'm back into the beautiful state of Indiana, and this is the end of this video. So thanks for watching. There will be a part 2 on this. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Mopar to you.